Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday Night panel. Hope everybody's well and enjoying the exciting football that we're getting at the moment. And also, I'd just like to say farewell to Rob Angus. Thank you for all you've done for the club and also for the Supporters Club. Great supporter of ours. So good luck in the future to Rob. And we welcome Anthony Hall in as the new CEO. And we look forward to working with Anthony in the future. So tonight we have got Tom Brewitt on with us. Very privileged to have him, so he can talk us through the game on Saturday. And I will bring Vic on because he's got some SAS news.
I do have SAS travel news. Good evening to you, Chris. Good evening to you. You may well know, of course, we're at Morecambe on Saturday. The buses leave the county ground at 7:45 a.m. 7:45 a.m. Morecambe, there are still seats available. So if you want to go to Morecambe and you've got a ticket for the game, then seats available on SAS Travel. They're open for phone bookings only tomorrow night between 7 and 8. And then they're open for phone bookings and in person as well on Thursday evening. Also, Notts County and Bradford City, there is a reserve list for a second coach on those fixtures. They're coming up shortly. But first and foremost, of course, Morecambe on Saturday. Still seats available, 7:45 a.m. off from the county ground.
And also, just to remind people that the tickets for Bradford and Notts County go on sale tomorrow morning from online and from the shop. Okay, so let's bring Tom on. Good evening, Mr. Brewitt. How are you?
Evening.
Evening, guys. Very well. How are yourselves?
Good. Well, we're third in the league. We can't complain.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice feeling.
Okay, so if anybody's got any questions, please leave them in the comments and we will get through as many as we can. And I will leave you and see you in a bit.
Chris, thanks very much indeed. Tom, I'm so grateful for you to join us this evening. And I just want to congratulate you on your start to the season because I don't know if you're aware of this, but the away supporters so far voted you the player of the season so far. So you're ahead. So well done. You must be very pleased with the way you're playing at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. Of course. I feel like I've had a strong start to the season, following on from a decent pre-season. And the team's performing really well altogether. So it makes my job easier as a centre half to play well in that unit when we're all working together with the ball and off the ball. So it's been a brilliant start all round, to be honest.
I think when we had you on here before, I said to you, I hope you don't mind this phrase, you're a muck and bullet centre half, and I think you quite like that. There was one moment that kind of summed you up on Saturday, that diving headed clearance. Do you remember that?
Second half, yeah.
Yeah. I just thought, you know what, that's Tom Brewitt. You like that stuff, don't you?
Listen, yeah, that's like you say, that's my game. Try and give everything I can for myself, for my family, for the fans. Every time I cross the line to go onto the pitch, so the fact that that's recognised by the fans means the world to me. And like I say, if that means we can get clean sheets and win games, then even better.
Yeah, you get your name sung by the town down now. That must be good.
Yeah, listen, it makes me proud every time. Certainly makes my family proud as well when they come to the game and hear that. I don't think it's the lyrics my mum might choose. But no, listen, anytime my name's sung by the fans, it's just, yeah, it's a proud moment for me and it means a lot to me.
I mean, the team's scoring and you're having fun by the look of it. What do you put that down to?
A couple of things. I think the togetherness this year has been top. I think from day one of pre-season, the gaffer's been massive on that. But beyond that, I don't think you can just put it down to that. I think we're very clear on the jobs that we have to do. So you can hold each other accountable for your jobs and push each other to do it better. And also in yourself, you know that you're being asked to carry out a very specific job in your position. So you do that, and then you look after the man next to you. And then if you all do that together, you start looking towards the right end of the league.
You're an organiser, aren't you? You like to do a bit of that. I mean, how does that work with Fraser? Because obviously on Saturday he was almost so far forward he was in the car park at times, wasn't he?
Listen, the way we play is brilliant, and obviously I'm playing between Dokes and Fraser, which it's just it feels really nice to be between them. The way they play, I think we all complement each other quite well. But like you say, that There's times when I've got to try and put the reins on him to the left of me, Dokes to the right of me, Seydou and Georgie Mack in front of me. So that's part of my job to do that. But also that we play a style that is very open at times, and my job is to make sure that we are protected from ourselves at times and deal with the potential counterattacks that can be thrown at us. Yeah,
it seems to us in the stands that it's you score 4, we'll get 5, unless it's at Wrexham, of course, in which case we might talk about in a minute. But
let's not go there, Vic.
But it's a lovely philosophy, isn't it? I mean, it takes me back to watching the Holland team in the 1970s. You know, it was that sort of football. You know, is that how you see it, or would you just, I don't know, like 2-0 Saturday was great. You know, two goals.
Saturday showed that we can win in probably a more professional way than winning 5-3 the week before. Certainly as a centre-back, I'd like to limit the goals we concede. But also, I have to concede that as a team, because we play so expansive, because we create so many chances going forward, we get so many numbers on their back line, there are going to be times when we give up opportunities. Now, as I've just said, it's my job to limit that and to limit clear-cut chances that we give the other team. Because I think the manner of the goals we've been conceding this year are so preventable. And if we cut them out, then the season will look even brighter than it already does.
Yeah, I hate to you're 3 points off the top with the game in hand. I mean, all right, you don't look at league tables until whenever, apparently. But do you look at league tables?
Of course you do. Of course, you're aware of where you stand. I'm not a big believer that any player doesn't know what the table looks like. You have a good idea of where you stand, both when you're doing well and when you're in a bit of a rut. You're aware of teams around you, and I think because we've got that game in hand, because our start was delayed at Colchester, we're very aware that if we can keep going, we can hopefully do something special this year.
How frustrating was that? Because we were in the stands ready for the season to kick off, and it was horrendous, let's be honest.
Yeah.
How was it for the players? Because you're all geared up for that game, aren't you?
Yeah, and we had a really tough pre-season. The gaffer had really worked us hard, and we were ready. We were firing, ready to go. So it was just more of a frustration, really. I'm sure the fans felt it as well. It's not round the corner, Colchester, is it? So
no.
If they were top drawer on the day, they sang their lungs out even when there was no footy kicks. So it was, it was just frustrating because, like you say, you geared up so much for the first game of the season, all throughout pre-season, when you're running round and round the pitch, and you just want to get going. So when it was delayed, a week, it was frustrating. Yeah,
it was going to be off, wasn't it? I mean, once they started sweeping it off it was just ridiculous, wasn't it? So anyway, we've got over that. That's the main thing. Lots of comments coming in. Emma says, Tom, my 6-year-old daughter loves you. So there you are. Sharon says, my player of the season so far, keep it going. Josh says, does Tom prefer vodka or Jaeger? This is the song, isn't it?
That's at the end of the season when we've done something.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Matt says, keep up the performances, Tom. Proving people wrong every week. Absolute monster of a defender. Are you playing your best football of your career for Swindon, says Kevin?
Probably. Yeah, probably. I think this system really suits me, being in the middle of a back three. And I think that the style that the gaffer wants us to play, I can be myself in that unit. And that's what the gaffer expects from me, which is a sort of strange thing to say, but it really fits, and it allows me to go into each game with confidence and sort of play my own game, knowing that that's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, which hopefully is leading to some good performances.
Stephen says, what made you want to stay with the town? Because obviously in the summer, you were on a short-term contract, weren't you? So yeah. What made the decision? What was the thing that tilted it?
Honestly, like you say, I was on a short-term deal when I joined sort of back end of February, early March last year. And the job for me was to come in and play as many games as possible, which activated the clause of my contract. But a massive reason why I wanted to stay was the fans, because the fans all liked me, and Swindon's a massive club in League Two that's waiting to go up. And I want to be a part of that journey where the club gets back to where it should be.
Well, that's a very good reason. Hi, Trevor. All players talk passion, but Tom shows his at the end of the games, especially Saturday. Keep it up. That's what fans want to see. And what I noticed on Saturday was you had basically given everything. I mean, I looked at you walking off, and it was like, whew, yeah, that's you've done 90 plus minutes. I mean, how do you know that he's got nothing left in the tank at the end of the game? Because I'm guessing you're the sort of player that wants to use everything on a Saturday.
Yeah, like you say, hopefully when I'm coming off the pitch at the end of every game, I've given everything I've got, and the fans can see that, because that's what I try to do every time I go on the pitch over Saturday. So, but yeah, I think you probably know about 10 minutes after the final whistle, and the adrenaline wears off, and you go, "Oh, I'm a little bit tired now." But no, that's the job, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I would imagine after the Sutton game, that was something else, wouldn't it? I mean.
Again, that's what I'm talking about, where we're in complete control of the game. We give up two very silly goals, and all of a sudden it's a game on when there wasn't a game to be played. There's only one team in the game the first 20-25 minutes. So like I say, if we can cut those silly goals out, we'll be even better than we already are.
I know you played in America, and I can imagine the conditions over there are pretty humid at times, but that was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was speaking to Chaz about it. Obviously, he was in Australia as well, year before last. So we were having a bit of a laugh about the different conditions we've played in, but there's something a little bit different about English heat, and its relentlessness. So it's yeah, when it's like that, it is difficult. And I think for large parts of the game, we managed it well. And I think if we cut out that 10-15 minute blip in the middle, it would have been a convincing win.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the pitch beforehand doing some stuff, and gosh, that was bad enough. Playing football in it, that was a different thing altogether. Right, let's have a look. Impressed on how you're playing, Tom. How do you like your song? Well, I think you've already mentioned that. What a great start to the season. Keep it up. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, I've got the lyrics to the song here, but I won't read them out if that's all right with you.
Listen, as long as you shout it on a Saturday, that's fine.
That's okay. Most improved player this year, says Rob. What does he put it down to? Proper pre-season or something more? I mean, I was going to ask you about the free agent situation, because, you know, there's been talk of Swindon signing free agents. You were a free agent last year. Where are you at when you're a free agent? Are you waiting for your phone to ring? How's it going?
Yeah, I think certainly for me, it was probably a little bit different, because I was coming back from the States, and it was in the middle of the season, because the seasons are different. So I was in between, not sure whether I was going back to the States or whether I was going to come and play in England. When the phone rang to come to Swindon with Josie at the time, it was an opportunity I had to take. But free agency is interesting, because you're fit. No, more often than not, you're very fit in terms of your running, but your game sharpness isn't what it would be with 7-8 weeks of a pre-season. And yeah, certainly for me, I think obviously I came in and I played, I think 12 of the last 13, other than Crewe away, with a little bit of an injury. And I think I went into that sort of 90 minutes straight away on the back of 2 weeks training, which is great for me. And again, I wouldn't change it. But looking backward, I'd rather have 6-7 weeks working with a gaffer, working with a team to get me ready for each game. Of course I would, yeah. It makes a big difference to have a proper pre-season with a team of lads.
It's a strange world, though, being a free agent, isn't it? I guess all you want is a club, isn't it? That's basically
exactly that's it. I don't think anyone enjoys free agency, to be honest. You like you say, you're waiting for the phone to ring, and you're waiting for the right phone call to be had. So it can be difficult mentally, but like you say, myself, Georgie Mack signed out of it. So there's often good players out there that, for whatever reason, different circumstance, find themselves out of contract.
I mean, Jake Young got 9 goals, and it's like the middle of September, which is bonkers, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
It's crazy. I can't remember a Swindon player who had that many goals at this time of the season. You'd have to go way back to Peter Eastoe, way back in the 70s. But what is it? What makes this team so good going forward, do you think?
Numbers. Like you say, I think you spoke earlier about Fraser being halfway up the pitch, and he's my left side centre-back. Doak steps in, gets forward. Our wing-backs play like wingers, and Huts and whoever's on the left, be it Tariq. And I think obviously Kempy and Youngie at the minute are getting a lot of the plaudits because their numbers are unbelievable. I think Chaz has been a little bit unsung in terms of the effect he has on other teams and the space he creates for the likes of Kempy and Youngie to operate in. Obviously Chaz gets his goal on Saturday, which is an unbelievable header, and which we all know he's got that quality because of the career he's had, and if you get the ball into him, he will score goals. But yeah, I think the numbers and the style in which we play pins teams back, and then we create chance after chance.
Yeah, it's a great cross too, wasn't it, from Romeo Hutton?
Yeah.
And you give that to Charlie Austin in the box, he's going to score, and it's that
exactly
simple.
And that's the quality that we've got with Huts on that side. We all know Huts' numbers are unbelievable. It assists, chances created. So that working with Chaz, and then like I say, we've added Kempy and Youngie to the mix this season, and we're hopefully going to continue scoring a lot of goals.
Yeah. Where are you at with this season, do you think? I mean, we're excited about it. We're loving going back to watching football at the county ground. We're loving watching Swindon play again, which sometimes last season we didn't enjoy that much. But I think you touched on it before about the relationship now between the fans and the team. There is that relationship back again, isn't there?
It certainly feels like it. Yeah, you certainly feel it on the pitch, especially on Saturday. The crowd was unbelievable. I think the crowd's responding to the togetherness they see in the squad between all the players, and that's giving them something to cheer about. Let alone, okay, we're creating loads of chances. Okay, we're playing nice football. But I think a massive part of it is the togetherness that we're showing. The two of man were working for each other, and that's what's breeding success at the minute.
And there are moments in the game when you want the fans to get behind you when things aren't going that well, I'm guessing, as well.
Yeah, listen, you want the fans to be behind you for 90 minutes, but obviously it's going to ebb and flow the same way that our control over the game is. There's times when we score a goal or concede a goal when you need the fans the most, because sometimes if you get one and the crowd gets up, you can go and get 2, 3, 4, even what we've done this year. Likewise, if you concede one, okay, maybe the fans get behind you then and you can go and bounce back straight away. So it's certainly something you do feel on the pitch, especially when the county ground's in full voice.
Tony says you're at home now, Tom, being part of something big, which is nice.
Yeah, it is, and I do feel that. I really feel that, and it's a lovely feeling for me to have. Only been at the club 6-7 months now. It's really nice to, like I say, have my name sung and feel like I'm a part of something here. So, like I say, hopefully we can make it a successful season.
Morecambe on Saturday. It's a long old trip. It's a small tight ground. How do you see that one?
Yeah, listen. Obviously, I was at Morecambe a few years ago. I've worked under Derek Adams. He's going to have them right up for it. They're not going to play stylish football that hopefully we play, but they will be well drilled and they'll work hard for each other. The fans there are decent when they get behind the team. They can really make, even though they might not have the numbers that what we have, when they get the 3, 4, 5, 6,000 that they get in full voice, they can get behind the team. So our job's to go up there, play our game, get our fans behind us, and then do what we've been doing all season.
And just finally, have you got over that free kick at Wrexham in the last minute?
What did Mourinho say? Prefer not to speak. Something like that. Yeah. Listen, it's crazy. The last 5 minutes of that game, and when you see that decision back, listen. I don't want to say too much and get into trouble, but everyone with a pair of eyes can see what I've seen. So I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough. Tom, we really appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you for what you're doing this season, because we're loving watching you and the team play. Really
appreciate it.
Thank you ever so much. We'll let you go now. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
See you later.
See you Saturday. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. Oh, I turned him off. Oh, well. Okay. So, shall we bring the panel on to have a chat about Saturday or continue the chat about Saturday? So we've got Jamie.
Evening.
We have got Nick all the way from the US of A.
You're on mute, Nick. I know it's a long way. Turn your mic on.
Yeah, I turned it off.
Lovely.
There we go. Right. I'll see you later.
Thanks, Chris. Welcome, gents. Yes, Nick, just explain exactly where you are.
I'm in Delaware, Southern Delaware, Milford, Delaware.
Lovely. And how is it?
Place.
How is it at the minute?
Overcast today. It's still warm. Got the patio door open, fan on, because it is warm here. But it's just we had a bit of rain and our fields got closed for today, so no practice tonight. But we make up later on in the week. So
I think a bit of rain is common to all of us tonight, so we're all right.
yeah, we haven't had as much as you have had over there.
It's been quite something. Right, Liam, hello to you. Good evening to you.
Hello from the west of Ireland. Jamie, are you the only one in Wiltshire at the moment?
I am, yeah. It's a novel experience, isn't it?
So we got Devon, we got the west of Ireland, and we got the United States of America and Swindon. So there we are. It's quite a spread, isn't it? Welcome to you as well, Jamie. Hi, nice to see you.
Hi.
Just a reminder that on Wednesday evening at 8:30, I don't think you need reminding, Clem Morfuni will be appearing with us and the Tom Broadbent Lounge, and questions to be put to him about things at the club. I'm not saying any more. We're just going to do it. We're going to move on. And believe me, no vetting is taking place. There'll be no favourite cheese questions, anything like that. And if anybody sends that in, it ain't going to happen. So 8:30 Wednesday evening. Right, let's talk about football because that's what we're here for. Jamie, it seems to me that Tom Brewitt kind of sums Swindon up this season. You know, he's in form. They're in form. They're loving their football. Yeah,
he's been excellent, hasn't he? I think you said earlier he's definitely been the standout player that I think we've seen away from home, and that attitude. I think it's interesting his comments about the togetherness of the squad, because I think that's quite noticeable. It stands out, and that breeds the relationship with the fans as well, doesn't it? He's one of those wholehearted old school defenders, isn't he? And I think when he first arrived, it sounded like he was a bit not unfit, but certainly struggling a bit with injuries, and I think maybe that's shown a good pre-season. But he's certainly the last ditch defender at the moment, isn't he? He's had plenty of battles with one-on-one defenders, which is quite obviously his forte, and long may it continue, because he's certainly the leader on the pitch that we need at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, it was that headed clearance on Saturday, the diving headed clearance down by the boots. I just thought that's what you love to see as a footballer, Nick, isn't it? You want to see commitment, don't you?
Oh, yeah. You know, fans love all that. That gets the fans behind you, and you show that kind of commitment. And let's be honest, after the game, I was watching it, and he was cheering up to the fans, and they love all that. You show that passion, that gets the fans right behind you. That's why I think fans are really taking into him this year, after, you know, what he's shown, his passion for the fans and his relationship with the fans, and they love all that.
It is true, Liam, isn't it? Because I think after the last season, which was dour, I think it's fair to say, there was very little in the way of excitement. What we're seeing this season is totally different and a breath of fresh air.
Brilliant, isn't it? Tom Brewitt, he's solid in every way, isn't he? He's solid everything he said, and he's solid on the pitch. And I think whenever we see decent teams, they've always got 3 or 4 leaders, and that's what it is with us at the moment. It ain't just Charlie Austin, is it? It's Blake Tracy. It's the whole of the defence, actually, isn't it? All 5 of them in some way or other are showing leadership. And that's terrific, because the team's picking itself, as we all know, isn't it? And the 2 subs that come on are the same 2 weeks in a row now. I mean, God, 60, 70 minutes in, and then Rush comes on, you know, and then Shade comes on, and it's like, oh God, now we got those 2, which, you know, it just seems to lose. Touch wood, no injuries, everything else, but it's so much better, isn't it? The vibe, the atmosphere, and every time we've had that in the past, when there's been that whole team core working together, what's happened at the end of the season? We've been successful, haven't we? If you think about 2 years ago with the playoffs, okay, we didn't go all the way, but they had a real vibe, didn't they? They were all going out together and everything else. We had the same under Wellens, you know, and then back in the 70s, when those teams were working together for each other, it was success.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony Goff says, put the F into football, fun. Jared says, another West of Ireland Swindon fan. I'm not the only one. So there we are. We got nobody yet from Delaware, Nick, who's
hopefully I'll be home very soon now. Back home.
Fair enough. Okay. Actually, Jamie, Liam mentioned it there, Wellens. I mean, if you go, this is a lot of comparisons between that season and this season, aren't there?
Yeah, and hopefully it's got a similar result at the end of it, but actually finishing the season would be good, wouldn't it?
Yes.
But that's not going down that route. That's a different conversation completely. But I think that comes from the top though, doesn't it? Because there's a lot of similarities with what you hear Flynn talking about, the way he talks, the way he interacts. And that was always the case with Wellens. That's what we always said. He brought that club together, and it feels to me at least, it feels like that's what Flynn's doing with this squad. It feels like there's a togetherness. Whether that's because it's a small knit group at the moment and they're doing well, let's see what happens when they have a couple of dodgy results and we're at Accrington on a Tuesday night or wherever, and it's a bit rainy. But it feels like the togetherness is there, and maybe that's because he's bringing the right characters in. We know Wellens talked a lot about the right characters rather than just anybody and just numbers. And it feels a bit like the same philosophy, and the entertainment's there. That's the bit for me. We've had a couple of seasons of terrible entertainment, haven't we? And at least that's come back again. My only concern would be, can we keep it up with the small squad we've got? But that's not thinking negatively. That's just saying, can we add one or two extra bit of quality that goes with it, and then hopefully we'll have a really good season again.
Well, that's picked up by Anthony, who says, we've got great match day 16 players. My concern is depth. Only Clayton and first teamer to come back. Need one or two quality players more. So there we are. Danny Savoury is in Northern Ireland. Massive supporter there. So Ireland's winning at the minute. And Steve says, Tom Brewitt, the new Colin Prophet, for those of us who remember Colin way back in the 1970s. Nick, if I mentioned Charlie Austin to you, many people have said, well, he's not scoring goals anymore. He got a cracker on Saturday. But his role is different, isn't it? He's creating space for those around him.
Yeah, that's what I said. If he wasn't involved or he was doing nothing, then you could understand. But I think if you ask every club in our division, who's your most feared player at Swindon, they would say Charlie Austin. Straight away, he's taking two away to create space for others. And the amount of assists he's had, so he's such a focal point for the team. I think it would be a mistake if they sort of said, oh, he ain't scoring, drop him, because it is a totally different what he's doing for the team.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, isn't it, Liam? That, you know, you look at Charlie Austin, and it was a great goal. He got his header in on Saturday after 2 minutes. We're all thinking, here we go, another 5-goal show, but it didn't quite turn out like that. But, you know, you could see the delight on his face when he got the goal.
Yeah, and then Michael Flynn's interview after the match was a little dig, wasn't it? The Advertiser article about it. You could pick that up. But no, Charlie's a team player. And when he joined back early in the year, we thought it was all going to be about Charlie, didn't we? But Charlie is showing real leadership. He's coaching. He's clearly got the support, but actually he's got the respect and admiration of the young guys as well. Yeah. They all love him and he loves them. And he's like the big brother to them all. You can see that after the match, the way he was moving them all along and teasing Dokes, wasn't it? There was a bit there when Dokes was going like this and he was teasing him. It's just great. It's what is it? Somebody's just said, we've got our fun back, haven't we? We have indeed. It's great. It's great.
Yeah. Kevin says we got our Swindon back, which is nice to hear. Andrew says it's the first proper manager we've had since Wellens. Keeping a hold of Kemp and Young will be key to any success this season. We need to do all we can to sign both. Unfortunately, I can see Young being recalled in January, especially if Bradford are challenging with us. Jamie, that is a big concern. I mean, I know it's a few months off yet, but it smacks of Doyle and Yates, doesn't it? And we're all thinking that. I mean, it may not happen. You know, it may not happen, but they are intrinsic to this Swindon team. Kemp is magnificent at the moment, isn't he?
Absolutely. You couldn't write the script if you tried, could you? I mean, if you were a Bradford supporter sitting there, you'd have to laugh, wouldn't you? Really?
Yeah.
But I guess this part of me says, yeah, that's worry about it, and the other part is let's enjoy it while we've got it and worry about it in January. Mm-hmm. I think there were some good comments I heard during the week that said, but also think about how we're playing as a team. And actually, if you could put other people in similar roles, I think there's plenty of strikers that would like to be playing in Young's position at the moment because the amount of chances. Yeah. I mean, how many times last season could we even remember one or two chances in the entire game? And now we're going with the amount of shots on goal in one game. We probably had 5 or 6 games last season. So I guess, yes, that's the two players that are central to it. But is that partly also the formation we're playing, the way we're playing as a team? And actually, we've talked about our super sub at the moment. Well, actually, I think there'll be certain games where he'll frighten the life out of people starting from the first minute. So let's see what happens in January. But it would be nice to think we could sign them both, but we're not in control of that, are we, at the moment?
No, we're not. Peter says Chazzy's goal on Saturday was worth the price of admission alone. I mean, to me, Nick, it was a real old-fashioned centre-forward goal. You know, cross comes in from the right, centre-forward plants the ball in the corner of the net. Keeper has no chance. That's a classic goal, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, if the service is right, he'll score your goals. You know that with Charlie Austin. He's done it all his career, so that's not a surprise, really. That shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. If the service is right, he's going to do that. And it was a great start. You know, you were hoping after that it would go on to be 4 or 5. And I was hoping he'd get an hat-trick. That would be the real, you know, stick it up to everyone who's been having their little saying because he ain't scoring goals. And what I liked about it is you see all his teammates come round. You know, you can see that's what you're saying about the team spirit. It weren't just him. Everyone was happy for him because of what people are saying, and everyone knows it's a load of crap, really. But you know, you can never please everybody.
I think, to be fair to the advertiser chap, it was the headline more than the actual article. I think in the article he was making the point that Charlie Austin's playing a different role and benefiting the team from that role, but the headline somehow pointed in another direction. As a coach, Nick, I mean, you got Hepburn Murphy on the bench, comes on with 25 minutes to go. You got tired defenders, and then this bloke who comes on and, you know, sets the pitch on fire with his pace. How do you deal with that?
That's hard. Any defender, you're going to think, that he's going to be a hard one with him. You wouldn't want that. So that's a great tool for Swindon to have. Because that's the last thing you want as a defender when it's, you know, especially a few weeks ago when the weather was really warm in there, and then he comes on and you're thinking, that's all I need. So, and it's hard because you can't worry about him because the way Swindon is scoring goals, Jake Young will be in then or Kemper making. But it's that must be so hard for coaches at the moment to manage that because he is so powerful and strong and he has got the ability. He's definitely, he's a great one to bring off the bench. But, I just don't think that's a hard one because if you double up on him, you'll free in someone else. And the smartness of Kemp, guaranteed, if you doubled up on him, Kemp would find the space. So he's very good at that.
He is. And I likened his goal against Sutton, Hepburn Murphy's, to Ricky Villa's against Man City in the Cup final replay. It was exactly a carbon copy of that, which is an extraordinary goal. Let's have a look. I think Kemp will stay now that the Dons have got Payne, which is an important point. Good products at 3 p.m. on the pitch is what makes people want to come back and watch us. Very good point, Kevin. Young Kemp loan situation is a concern, but you'd hope Flynn is discussing this with the board and putting B, C and D in place for January. Young being double marked Saturday allowed Dokes and Hutton to run freely, and Hepburn Murphy also needs to be given a new contract ASAP, Jamie. Lee, I mean, he's going to be a hot property, isn't he, in January? I mean, I think people will look at him. There's no question.
David Fairclough for us older viewers.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. Back to what Jamie just said, I presume also then Kemp and Young won't be playing in October for the matches that we play against the Dons.
No, I would think that's part of the loan deal, I guess.
That'll be the deal. But you know what? I'm going to continue with this positivism. Michael Flynn signed some great signings this summer across the board. And so what happens in January? Well, I mean, let's be honest. We're also Khan's going to be away for January. All being well, I mean, I'd like him to get selected. Of course, we all would, but it does mean we're going to lose him for 2 to 4 weeks for the African Cup of Nations. So we've got to Flynn's got to be given the money. He's got to be given the criteria, let's say, to sign people. But he's done all right during the summer. He's done really well during the summer. There's been probably Ben Ward is the only one that hasn't impressed so far, but every other signing has been very, very useful, very, very good indeed, especially at the back and especially with Kemp and Young. So and the fact is that people stayed, didn't they? And look how much Brewitt is a such better player now than he was 4 or 5 months ago, and that's good coaching. And he's fit and he's well. And I think Jamie, again, back to you. I'm agreeing a lot with you today. Everything that people will want to play for us, won't they? Who wants to go to India? Join us. Join us, for God's sake. You're gonna have a nice time. You're gonna have a bit of fun, and you're gonna have 8 to 10, maybe 11,000 people loving you every other week.
Yeah, the next home game, of course, against Grimsby, which is a week on Saturday, and I think it's a special Ukraine Day as well. So we'll give you more news on that next Monday. I mean, it's a very important point, isn't it, Jamie? Enjoyment, and I think everybody's enjoying it. Not just the players, the fans are enjoying it. They're enjoying what they're seeing, and they're going home happy about it. You know, I mean, let's be honest, even if they sort of drawn on Saturday, some of the play we've seen is so good. But they appear to have that winning mentality, whereas last season they got an early goal. You wouldn't have bet against. You know, you would have thought that they might have conceded. Walsall might have come back and won that game.
Yeah, I think it was one of the players, wasn't it, that said afterwards that we would have found a way of drawing or losing that game last season, and I think that's probably spot on. And I think also that's maybe feeding through to the supporters and the fans as well. Is actually there's a bit of a belief there that when we did have to dig in on Saturday, you felt the fans wanting to dig in with them rather than sitting there thinking we're going to lose this. You can see it coming a mile off. And let's face it, we've had some absolute tripe at home for the last few seasons, haven't we? So as people on here that probably go away from home, we've benefited from those away performances to keep us going. But the actual home form has been absolutely appalling, and the entertainment's been even worse, hasn't it? So actually, just a season of actually high quality home games with entertainment would probably be on most people's wish list, I guess, just to get those crowds back again.
I think it's fair to say, Nick, that we've had games last season with one shot in it. I mean,
oh yeah, it was so depressing. It was so depressing. That's what I'm saying. It's just so good to see what you see now. You enjoy you even though sometimes it heartbreaking. You know, like the Wrexham game. You think you've guaranteed that's a win and they come back, but it's still an enjoyment game. And like Brewitt said with the refereeing, but he couldn't say too much because he got himself in trouble. That was terrible decisions. But yeah, it was just so dire last year. You know, if you lost games and you tried and it was enjoyment and you'd say, okay, I can see that, but it was just nothing there. There was nothing to get. And that's what you got to give the fans credit. They still were averaging good crowds last year for what they were paying for and watching. It was just, that was painful, a lot of it last year.
I was a coach, Nick, and you'd seen that decision in the last minute against Tom Brewitt for handball. I mean, how would you have dealt with that?
I would have struggled because that was how close, how you could have given that because you just knew what was going to come of that. That was just, you don't blame the player at all. It's nothing on the player. You'd say that ref's an idiot. You'd back your player all day long with that. You know, what you'd want is an explanation from the ref. You can't get your 2 points back. But I'd want to follow that through and say, you know, I want an explanation in this because it was never, you know, it was like last week when he was on about the penalty decisions and fair play to Flynn. He said, look, we've won the game today and there were still some decisions that were wrong. Because I'm not just saying it because we lost. We've won today and there were still some poor decisions. So, you know, what can you do? You do all the training you want on the training ground to do this, that, but you can't do nothing against that. And it's just bad refereeing. Bad officiating, and you know it cost us 2 points.
Yeah, I think there was an apology afterwards, which is great, isn't it?
Yeah,
really helps. Yeah, the atmosphere is coming back. Great to see, says Alison. Hello. If we stay in the promotion hunt, I agree with Liam. We will attract some better players potentially in January. Ian says must be the best run at home for a while. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember when the first win at home was last season, but it took a while, didn't it? So where are we at then with it, Liam? I mean, it's easy to get carried away with this and say, yeah, we're going to romp the league this year, but we must kind of temper it a little bit because, hey, this is Swindon, isn't it? We were 4-1 up at Wrexham, and even then we're thinking, So where are we at with it, do you think?
Well, we could have 21 points at the moment, couldn't we? Because we should have beaten Doncaster. We should have beaten Crewe. And we should have beaten Disneyland Wrexham. So you know, you look at it that way. By the way, we had 12 shots on Saturday and 6 were on target.
Sorry, say that again. What was the stat?
We had 12 shots on Saturday and 6 were on target.
Fabulous. Yeah,
and a number of those were outside the box as well. So and that way, come on, we're Swindon. And that's what Saturday was great, wasn't it? Because as there are times that exactly, I think it was Russians Hepburn Murphy said, didn't he, on Saturday? We could have we would have let them in for a draw or defeat last season, for example. So we're hanging on, and I like the efficiency of Saturday. I think they started to play like a training session, didn't they, halfway through the second half, and then they went for it again towards the end, and that was a bad mistake to let us in for our second goal. They were just messing around with it at the back. October's tough. October's really tough. We could be having a very realistic conversation in November.
We could.
After all that lot, and we're literally playing everybody that's somebody's favourite. We'll know in early November where we're at, and then no injuries, one hopes, and we keep going with this squad because it is lean. We all know it's lean. 16 or 17 is the core, but we haven't quite. There isn't quite that strength in depth that we've got with the 12, 13 core players.
Hence the free agency thing, Jamie. That's why I asked about free agents to Tom, because he's been through that experience. And there will be players who are literally hanging by their telephone waiting for a call, aren't there? It must be a very unsettling time if you're a professional footballer, just to get a call from somebody saying, look, do you want to come along and give it a go?
Yeah, but I think also listen to his comment that when someone picks the phone up and you've got an attractive option, is it you're going into a relegation fight, or going into someone where the team's not performing well, or you're going at the right end of the league with someone that's playing well? But I think the other bit that's interesting for me is how many times have we said over the last few years that the teams that are going for promotion or winning it are a settled team. And how many? I mean, I'd love to know. I haven't actually worked it out. I'd love to know how many players we'd used by this time last year already, because we sure as hell didn't have a settled team where it picked itself every week and you kind of settled those in. And championship teams we've had in the past have had the same probably 16, 17 players that have played the majority of the games. But then it comes down to luck. Can we keep them fit? Can we keep suspensions off? That's the luck bit that you can't really control. Hopefully, at least it looks like the madness of some of the refereeing is slightly curtailed from the first couple of games, where it looked like we'd have suspensions after 5 games from a booking every week. Yeah. But can we keep the kind of 16, 17 fit and add a couple of extra? I guess the comparison is, people talk about MK Dons. Do they need Kemp? Look at their bench. They've probably got 5 or 6 first team players sitting on the bench at the moment. That's what we're going to have to kind of compare against when it comes to January or later on in the year. But that's it. Keep people fit, and we might have a first team that we look after all season.
Rob says it's no coincidence we've had 4 sendings off against us already. We're running defences ragged. You make your own luck. Kevin says just enjoy it for as long as it lasts. Fair point. Far too early to talk of promotion. Let's see where we are after 12 games and then again in January. Do you know if we're looking at any players, free agents at the moment? I'm sure they are. I mean, I can't believe that they wouldn't be. We will hit a blip, no doubt, as we all do. Just let's hope it's not a bad or a lengthy one. It's very easy to get carried away with this, Nick, isn't it? And say, yeah, this is fabulous. We're playing fabulous football. We're going to win every game. But football's football, isn't it? You don't win every game. It doesn't happen, does it?
No, it doesn't. And I think more so for Swindon is because how bad last year was. It was so dire. It's so enjoyable this year. But then I think you've got to face facts. If I'm Bradford manager, I don't care if I don't want Young. I'm taking him back. I'm stopping him from a rival. Same with Kemp. They might say, they've signed Payne. I don't care. I'll take Kemp back and sit him on the bench for the rest of the season to stop Swindon from getting promoted. So to me, I'm virtually saying we've lost them 2 in January. Unless we can buy them, I personally think we've lost them. Because if I was any manager, and if I'm on a board, a chairman, I'm saying to Husey, get him back, and then the same with Kemp. Even if you don't want to play him, we're still paying for now to stop Swindon. Because why wouldn't you? How well they're doing for us, why wouldn't you do that? But for me, it is so good compared to last season. I think that's why it's gone up another level for the Swindon fans, because it was so dire last year. And it is so good to watch them play. Like you're saying, the shots on target, the shots we're having compared to last year. It's just so much better. It's so refreshing. And it has to go down to Flynn and his assistant.
Yeah. I would, for those of us of longer memories, might well remember Duncan Shearer and Blackburn Rovers.
Yeah.
Here's a transfer deadline signing, which will stop you going up. Thanks very much.
It
did. Yeah. And I think they went up, didn't they, that season? Did they go up?
And then they sold him. They didn't even play him, did they? And they sold him at the end of the season.
I think he scored on his debut for them, and that was about it. Yeah, and then another Shearer came in, if you might
Yeah.
remember. Yeah. I think Stevenage last season we could mirror reference size of squad, etc. Yeah, you see, Steve. I mean, they're doing tremendously well in League One, Stevenage, aren't they, Liam? I mean, I saw them the other week against Exeter in the League Cup, and they're a decent team. I mean, it can be done, can't it? I mean, as much as we malign Steve Evans, and who doesn't? Because he's everybody loves to hate him. He does a decent job with the team.
Yeah, nice guy. I think you're right. I mean, he bought the players in, didn't he, early last summer? Kept the same team. They were a one-trick pony, but they were a successful one-trick pony. And there was at one point, and he won the championship ahead of Leyton Orient. They're always, his team's always difficult to play against. I'd hate to be a fan of theirs because I'd get a stiff neck all the time watching that ball in the air and everything else. A bit like watching Sutton, really. Interesting. When you were talking about free agents, it made me think about McEachran because wasn't he out of work essentially for a year?
Yeah.
And I think these younger players coming from the Premiership, coming from those academies that clearly been very well paid, unlike the rest of us, they can afford to take a year off work then, can't they? And think about what their process, think about what they're going to do over the next year or so. And that's the trouble now, isn't it? Some people will obviously be desperate to get a job because they need to pay their bills and everything else. But I don't know, if you've come away from somebody like Chelsea Academy, you don't necessarily, and you're 21, 22, you're not necessarily you're going to take your time who you're going to sign for, I think. And that's what happened with McEachran. And what a great signing he's been.
Oh, it's been amazing. He's been a bit of an unsung hero this season, actually, because he's so skillful. And actually, for a chap who looks quite slight, he's quite strong as well, isn't he? He's strong in the tackle. He doesn't mess about. And, of course, he's our only second World Cup winner after Ozzy Ardiles. So there you go. It's quite an honour, isn't it? Hi, Derek. Troy Deeney wrote an article in a newspaper slating out-of-contract players who sit back and feel they're too good to drop into our level. Sound familiar? How do you feel we will do when pitches deteriorate in winter? That's from Nick. Good point, Jamie. I mean, the point is pitches don't deteriorate that much, do they, anymore?
It's not what it used to be, is it?
No.
I mean, to be fair, most of the pitches are of high standard now, aren't they? I mean, there's the odd one that there's rugby on at the same time or something like that, but I think it's not the same issue it used to be. And quite frankly, you've got to find a way through it, haven't you? It's the same for both teams, but I don't think we're quite messing about with it quite as much as we were doing last season, and it's a bit more progressive going forward. But maybe that's where you've got different options, and if you've got a Hepburn Murphy, you can play it over the top and hit people on the break. That's a different option for you in those conditions, isn't it?
Yeah, but the pitches are just so much better than they were. I mean, goodness me, you look at some 40, 50 years ago, they were bogs, weren't they, basically? Liverpool won the league years ago with 16 players, says Terry. Fair point. It's nice to see Wayne Hatswell, assistant coach Swindon lad, managing us with manager Flynn. Knows what it means to us fans. And that's important, Nick, isn't it? You've got a local boy in the managerial structure. And he knows that if Swindon have a bad day, he's kind of might get a bad day from his mates as well, mightn't he?
Yeah, definite. And you know what fans are like. It ain't just him, it'll be his family, it'll be everybody, wouldn't it? He's associated with. That's what makes it worse with fans. They don't just go after the one person; they go after his family if they know where they live. But then it's great because he knows what it feels like for Swindon Town. He grew up, he's been part of it as a youngster, so that's great to have. I think that's a great person to have in there. I really do, because he knows exactly what it's like and what it feels like.
Yeah. How is it as a coach if you don't do well? I mean, you're not on the pitch, but it's your team, as it were. So how do you feel as a coach?
Oh, you feel terrible. You're always thinking, I've even said that here with youngsters now. I said, you might lose and stuff. And, I've had it once when I had a team that they didn't care. It's like I felt like it was a youth centre. They were good friends. They wanted to be there for that. They didn't care about the result. And I couldn't get over that. That shocked me. And people said, look, they just enjoy being together as a group. But I said to them, I always want to win every game. If I lose and I look at me as a coach, have I not prepared you right? Have I done something wrong? Where have we let goes in from? And you look at that, is it my fault because we didn't work on the defence or we didn't do this? You're always judging yourself as a coach. You can't help it. You can't help it. It's just one of those things. If you're into it big time, you're always judging yourself as a coach. win or lose, really. More so when you lose. Why? How did the goals come from? Where did they come from? What could have I done to avoid that in practice, maybe, and stuff like that. So you're always judging yourself.
Well, the coaching seems to be pretty good at the minute. Liam, I know you've missed the last couple of games at the county ground, but I'm guessing you're desperate to get back, aren't you?
Yeah, I've managed to see them somehow, if you know what I mean. And yeah, of course I am, because happy days, isn't it? I mean, last season we all went to all these games out of loyalty, didn't we? We just carried on. By the way, I've just thought something. Didn't we win the League Cup and get promoted with about 12 players, maybe 13?
Yeah, you're quite right. Yes. In fact, John Trollope was out for a while. Owen Dawson came in, didn't he? Yes, it was primarily the same team throughout the course of the season. And actually, if you remember, Ozzy Ardiles picked the same team for 27 games in a row.
True.
Which is kind of unheard of, really. But yeah, it's possible.
The successful 70 team, Anglo-Italian, English-Italian League Cup, all that business. Fifth for many years, it was our highest ever league position.
Yeah.
That team was virtually the team that won the League Cup the year before.
With the addition Arthur Horsfield, who came in,
Yeah.
that was a big difference. Yeah.
So it's a good point about keeping people together and stuff. Yeah, I'm missing the vibe. I've regularly said this, and Nick, I'll join you in swearing. When you support a crap football team, 3:00 every Saturday afternoon and 7:45 every Tuesday is great because it doesn't get changed for Sky, it doesn't get changed for anything else. And it's a lovely routine, isn't it? It's, meeting your friends, being part of the day, catching up with people you haven't seen during the summer. You catch up with them again on August and see your Swindon friends again. And that's lovely. Every 2 weeks, just, what we're doing and away games when I can and, catching up with people. It's brilliant. The Swindon community is fantastic. And we've got some people that, like to have a moan, but we've got an awful lot of people that are loyal and are fans of the club. And that's great. It's wonderful. And long may that continue, really, this fun that we're having at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie, long away trips, as you and I know on the coaches, can be moan fests, can't they? They're not quite moan fests anymore at the moment, are they?
Yeah, you've actually got to find a different topic to talk about, haven't you? It's like, yeah, I'm not sure some of our fans that matters. There's still something to moan about, isn't there? But I mean, yeah, that's hope that those we've got enough long trips this season, haven't we? So we don't want kind of I could say Tuesday night into Wednesday mornings coming back from Notts County and Accrington and Tranmere and God knows where else. But it's just nice to have something positive to talk about, isn't it? And I think to everyone's point, though, it's at our level, it's community, isn't it? It's about, as we talked about, kind of going on the coach with the same people for tens of years, probably more than some of us see our families, to be honest. And that's part of it. And if you're doing that and it's a miserable, horrible journey and you've got nothing to look forward to, quite frankly, getting up at 6:30, 7:00, or in your case, Vic, 3:00 in the morning sometimes.
Day before.
Yes, isn't what you want to do, is it? You kind of, last season, some of us got there. We've been going donkey's years, started thinking, why on earth are we doing it? And actually, that's probably all we want, is those players giving as much as we give in commitment. And that's what it feels like this season, is you've got commitment. And then actually, you'll have a large number of people follow them again on Saturday, again midweek. People won't mind, will they? Because it's part of the club you're part of, rather than, I hate to say it, glory hunting and watching someone that's probably going to win 90% of their games.
Yeah, John has made that point, actually. Loving Brewitt's passion, proper pride in the badge and the shirt. So there we are. I think that sums it all up, really. Sean says, saw Life of a Kit Memoir back. Apparently you have a history of promotion with red shorts. I have red shorts, I think, under Hoddle. Do we have red shorts? I'm just trying to think now. But anyway, hey, if it works, that's great.
Your conspiracy theories on kit now, is it?
Well, I have a conspiracy. When you used to have white flashes on the shoulder, that we always have a bad season when we have white flashes on the shoulder. So, why not have a good season with red shorts? So that's great. I also wanted to mention the women's team, actually, because they had a fabulous win yesterday against Southampton, 6-2. Now, Southampton, this is a club that puts a lot of money into women's football. And I remember once they came down to Exeter, they had a coach for the coaches. Nick, you would have enjoyed it. They had a special coach with coaches on it. So, that's the difference, really. And the growth in women's football, you're in the States. I was following the World Cup and the Euros over here. Swindon have got through to the next round of the Cup against Rugby. They're away at Rugby. having won that cup tie at Swindon last week. So it's great that both teams are firing well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And yesterday was quite funny because Southampton is managed by the ex-Swindon manager, that Jamie Lloyd-Davis. He was back with Southampton yesterday. So first time he come back as a coach, because I know Jamie, I coached him when he was a player at Cong many years ago. So I know, so it must have been funny for him to come back and actually play on the county ground, which would have been nice.
Yeah.
So they've done that more so since he's gone. They never had that. The relationship has got better over the last few years, and it's great for the Swindon Town women to play on the county ground. I just think that's so good for them to play on there. You know, it must make them feel proud to be getting more publicity and more help in that way, and being more part of the club. You feel part of the club more, because realistically, for me, I'd like to see the Swindon Town ladies play over a foundation part of the county ground rather than keep going to Fairford, because Fairford's a nice ground, but it's not in Swindon. You really, I think you'll get more if they were in Swindon. You'd get more fans watching them.
How is it in America with the disappointment of the American team? I mean, are they still trying to get over that shootout penalty? Which is like that?
And they were all, you know, you knew as soon as that happened, the manager was gone. He was sort of saying, I'm going to wait. And you think, just go, just walk away, because you're not staying. So there was a lot of people moaning about he should have never been appointed. He was never really, done it at the high level. It was more indoor he done and stuff like that. So you knew that. And then I think the director, the lady director who was an ex-player, she's stepped down as well. So yeah, it was a big hoo-ha over here because it was their worst ever performance in a World Cup. Yeah. They've never failed to get to the semi-finals, and they didn't. This time they were. It was so bad on them. So, but I can understand. You have a big population over here to pick from, but to me over here now it's getting worse rather than better. There's so many local leagues and different stuff. They're killing the players over here. I think they just do too much for them. They're not letting them enjoy themselves. They're just burning them out because there's just so much going on all the time. And every year you'll see another league pop up and you think, where's that coming from? And all this. It's just too much over here, personally.
It's nice, Liam, to see young girls getting into football, though, and being able to play football and go through a structure at Swindon where they can actually end up in the first team, which is fabulous, isn't it?
It's brilliant. Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sorry, go on.
No, it is. In the way, like with John Holloway and the foundation part there, Girls program, they supported. Because what's the name? The manager last week, he was praising them up, how they work with Swindon Town ladies and stuff. So that's quality what they do there. So there is such a pathway now from younger kids all the way through, which is great to see. Because you never had that 4 or 5 years ago in Swindon. It's amazing what they've done at Foundation Park and different stuff there to really boost the girls, playing soccer, and what they do for them is great.
You use the S word. I can't believe you did that. Sorry. Soccer. What's that about, Nick?
I say soccer.
If I had a yellow card, I'd show it to you right now.
Yeah.
And the academy, nice win against them down the road recently. Yeah, it was a 4-1 win, I think, wasn't it? It was a hat trick in that one. So yeah, I think things are going well, and I think that is important, isn't it, Liam? That there is this pathway now for young girls, and they can progress, and they can actually see a top class career in football.
Yeah, absolutely. The Lionesses, they get paid exactly the same appearance money, don't they, as the men? So, which is excellent. That's brilliant. And yeah, the feel good factor that's come back since the Women's World Cup has been amazing. I see for the men that the next World Cup, Nick's in America, of course, well, and a bit of Canada and a bit of Mexico. And then I found out at the weekend that the next Rugby World Cup in 8 years' time is in America as well. So those of us that like all our sports, if we want to get over there, we'll all be coming to visit you, Nick.
You can come. Hey, well, I said I'm lucky here because we got Philly's a city, and that's 2 hours away. I got Boston, I think, and New York, and they're all sort of not that far. And those 3 cities are being used for the Men's World Cup.
So fabulous. Well, I am planning. I must admit, I am planning. Jamie, the women's football is going well, and it's great to see it. And a 6-2 win against Southampton is an amazing result.
Yeah, it's the growth in it's been amazing, isn't it? And it's all down to the last couple of World Cups or championships, isn't it? But I think it's really noticeable. You can see this season there's far more girls around in in the crowd as well. So actually, it's feeding through to that enjoyment, whether it's through to the watching the women's game or feeding through to the men's game, isn't it? But it's that one club attitude. But would it have happened without the European Championships and the World Cups being focused on, and the TV and everything that goes with it? No, probably not. So there's massive credibility to those that have kind of helped drive it, isn't it? And keep that entertainment going forward. But it's on TV more. It's being driven through. It's a slow burn, but it's happening quite quickly over here, isn't it? I don't know whether it's the same in other countries, but there's certainly that momentum behind the clubs investing in it, isn't it? You can tell. Not just the Premier League clubs, but also the clubs that are at our level, if you like, that are investing in it as well.
Yeah, we wish Mike Cook, who's the manager of the women's team, of course, and Georgia Clifford, who's been on the panel a couple of weeks back as well. We wish them all well for the rest of the season. Right, let's talk quickly about Morecambe then before we wrap up. Nick, Morecambe away, tough old game, long old journey. How do you see that one?
I still think Swindon's going to win. I feel confident the way they're playing, and Morecambe's, not had the greatest, stuff for me. I think Swindon, it'll be tight. I do think it will be tight, but I think Swindon will win it by the odd goal. I could see it being a 2-1 or a 3-2 because there just seem goals in what we're doing. But so I think Swindon will win it. For the fans, you want to win it when it's a long trip. You want to get the win. You don't want to be coming back, from the fans. But I do. I think Swindon will win it. I just think they're playing so well and they're just so confident.
Yeah, Liam, do you go along with that?
I do. Yeah, they came down last year, didn't they?
Yes.
But they've got punched above their weight for a couple of years, haven't they? What are they, mid-table? 1-3, drew 1, lost 3. Yeah, 2. I'll go with Nick. 2-1 as well. 2-1.
Jamie, what's your view on it?
Yeah, I think it's about keeping momentum going, isn't it? And hopefully we can just keep that positivity. I think they're a bit more of a physical team. And they've had a couple of decent results. I think they beat Bradford at home, I think. So I think it's going to be a tough one, but we're scoring goals. If we can keep scoring goals, I'm all with it. I think I'll go for the kind of 3-1, 3-2. I don't see us keeping too many clean sheets.
It'll be fun, I think. Apart from Doncaster, every game has been fun. Even if you, a bit like Wrexham, when it was a bit like banging your head against a brick wall, Wrexham. When you stopped, you enjoyed it. It was that sort of feeling afterwards. Sean says 1-0. Yeah, us yet again, because we won 1-0 up there under Candio, didn't we? Which is a great result at Easter. There's always been talented women in football in amateur levels, as I've been a coach for a lot of years. The openings are now more apparent thanks to the Lionesses' success. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed for your attendance this evening. And of course, Nick, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon for you?
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Lovely. What's on the agenda for the rest of the day then?
Well, I'll watch a game now. I was going to get ready in an hour to go to the fields, but the fields are closed. I'll put the old football on now, the Forest, innit? Forest Burnley game.
Oh, fair enough.
Watch all of that now.
Burnley.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank
Nice
you.
Thanks.
Thanks ever so much. Thanks, Vic. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Nick. And thanks, Liam. So we will be back, as Vic said, on Wednesday, 8:30 for the Inter-Clem. It'll be 5:30 in the morning for Clem. So very early for him. So we will see you then. Just a couple of other bits. You may well have seen that Dean McMakin got tokens for the homeless purchased on the kiosks in the county ground. We will actually be putting them onto our shop. So if you want to do it online, you can do. We will put it out on socials when it's live, but they will be on our shop to buy, and then they go to the kids that Dean has nominated. And that, thank you very much. Oh, and just one other thing. Whoever asked a question about Tom's hair and how wonderful it was and how they wanted to run their fingers through it, we did speak to him before he came on live to tell him.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to put it on live just in case we got a bit.
Yes. Can I just mention that on September the 27th, which is a week on Wednesday, we will have a special evening at Melksham Town Football Club. and it's a free event. But it's in aid of Derby Rimmer, so we'll have raffles and program sales and all that kind of stuff. Phil King and Paul Bowden will both be there. So if you're in the Melksham area, or indeed any of the area, and you're a Swindon Town fan, or indeed a Melksham Town fan, please join us on that evening. It's a social get-together, but basically it's to raise funds for the Derby Rimmer Foundation. So we'd love to see you at Melksham Town's brand new fabulous ground. That's at 7:30, I think, on Wednesday, the 27th of September. Looking forward to it.
It is. Yep. Thank you very much for saying that, Vic. I did have on my list to do. So thank you very much. We'll see as many as you can that make it on Wednesday, and we will also be back next Monday, but we'll talk about that on Wednesday. Okay, thank you. Take care.